Hello, wonderful children. Today we are getting into adding integers. And adding integers is can get a little confusing because, as you'll find out, we don't actually always just add integers. And if you're confused by what I mean by that, great, I totally understand. Don't worry, we will get it all figured out, and you will be experts on combining integers as we finish our day today. So, remember, integers are all the numbers, all the whole numbers that exist out there and their opposites, right? So it's all the positive numbers and all the negative numbers. So let's say I want to add some integers. I could say, well, what is 3 plus 2? Those are both integers. And 3 plus 2 we know, we just add together, and that is 5. Look at that. You already are so skilled in knowing how to add integers. Now, what if I said, okay, well, what is 3 plus negative 2? Uh-oh. This is still adding integers, but it changes things up a little bit. Okay? So, the way we're going to model this is we're going to start by using a number line. And I don't normally love to use number lines, but we're going to today. So we'll use red when we go negative, and we'll use blue when we go positive. All right. So the way this works when adding on a number line is you always want to start at 0. And then you want to go and say, all right, I'm starting at 0, and I want to go to my first value on my number line, which this one happens to be 3. And I'm going to stop at 3. Now I'm going to add to that the direction that it tells me to over here, negative 2. Now if we were to go negative 2 on our number line, starting at 0, the negatives go this way, right? When we count by negatives, it goes to the left. And so once we get to our 3, we still, if we're going to add a negative number, we're going to go back to our left 2 places to get us to this final value here, which is 1. Now, is that confusing? If it is, that's okay. We're going to deal with this a lot. I don't love using the number lines. I like just teaching you the rules that we need to know to be successful in our integers. Okay, so as we go through here, there are 2 ways that we can see adding integers. I'm going to get rid of this. There are 2 ways that we see adding integers. We can add with same sign, meaning both of our numbers are positive or both of our numbers are negative, or we could add with different signs. So those are the 2 ways that we're going to see integers, adding with the same sign and then adding with different signs. I want to get rid of this because I don't like it. Oh, maybe I can't. I thought I could, and that would have been really cool. Can I not? Okay, I can't, and that's just going to be the way that things go. All right. So when we add with the same sign, we want to add the absolute values and keep the sign the same. Okay, so when we add with the same sign, we want to add the absolute values. Remember, the absolute value is how far away that number is from 0, so the positive of that number. We add those 2 numbers up, and then we want to keep the sign that's the same. Okay, so if we had something like, keep that up there. If we had something like, no, don't do that. Wrong thing. 10 plus 8 equals something. Well, Okay, we know 10 plus 8, but if we were to do it following these steps, we'd say, all right, what's the absolute value of 10 plus the absolute value of 8? Well, the absolute value of 10 is 10. The absolute value of 8 is 8. We add those up, we get 18. Okay, so we know our answer will be 18. And then we look to keep the sign. Are these numbers positive or are they negative? Are they positive or negative? They're positive, so this 18 is going to stay positive, and that's our answer. And it works the same if we're dealing with negative numbers. If we were to say negative 10 plus negative 8, we would say, all right, let's get the absolute value of both of these numbers. The absolute value of negative 10 is 10. Remember, it's just a positive of whatever's inside. Plus the absolute value of negative 8 is 8. 10 plus 8 is still 18, so we know our answer will be 18. And then we keep the sign the same. Are both of these numbers positive or negative? They're negative, so our answer will be negative. Okay, so that's how it works if the signs are the same. If the signs are the same, you just add up the values and keep the sign exactly the way it's supposed to be. All right, now it changes a little bit when it gets to both of our numbers having, there we go, both of our numbers having different signs. Okay, so when we have different signs, we actually subtract the absolute values and keep the sign of the larger absolute value. That AV stands for absolute value. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit more confusing because now we actually have to subtract. And I know it says we're adding, but sometimes to add integers, you actually have to subtract them. I'll show you what I mean by that. If we have negative 8 plus 12 equals something. Negative 8 plus 12. We want to find the absolute value of these numbers. The absolute value of negative 8 is 8. The absolute value of 12 is 12. And we want to find the difference. We want to subtract these two numbers. And we're always going to take our bigger number and minus our little number. So we're going to say this is going to turn into 12 minus 8 equals 4. So our answer will be 4. And then we find out, we look at our numbers, and we keep the sign of whatever of our original numbers had the bigger absolute value. So this negative had absolute 8, and positive had absolute value of 12. Which is bigger, 8 or 12? 12 clearly is bigger. So since our positive number had more absolute value, our answer stays positive. All right, who's confused by that one? Again, it's okay if you are. We're going to be dealing with this a lot. We're going to be practicing this a lot in class. I really want to make sure we have good understanding of this. Let's say I had, I really just want to get rid of this little number line thing here, but it is what it is. Let's say I had negative 30 plus 20. Negative 30 plus 20. All right, well, I have different signs, so I'm going to subtract. I'm going to find the absolute value of negative 30, which is 30, the absolute value of 20, which is 20, and I want to subtract them. Bigger number minus little number. So what is 30 minus 20? Well, that's 10. So I know that my answer will have a value of 10. And then to know if that value will be positive or negative, I look to say, well, do I have more positives or more negatives? Over here, I have 30 negatives, and over here, I have 20 positives, which is more. The negatives. So my answer here would be negative 10. All right. Please, if this is confusing, if you're having a hard time, please rewatch. Please go and try and work through some practice problems. You can go to IXL and you can find practice problems all about this. But we're going to come into class tomorrow prepared with questions, prepared with things to help with understanding, and we are going to really make sure we get a good grasp on adding integers. But for now, you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.